I have no idea why this song randomly popped in my head. I was at work last night. I don't know what caused it. I don't know what brought it on. But just out of nowhere, this song started playing in my head. I'm like, that is awesome. But why? I mean, this whole album, Chef Aid, I could listen to over and over and over again. But just randomly, out of the blue, here comes Mephisto and Kevin. This will be an experience. If you have never heard this, I promise you, buckle up for this one. Before I get going, be sure to subscribe. Helps me out so much. Patreon is in the description down below. New uploads every Sunday. Honestly, since last night, well, since I got home, I've been trying to figure out, why did this randomly pop into my head? It's a good thing, though.
In 1986, the University of California, Davis saw two of its all-time brightest stars, Dr. Alphonse Mephisto and Dr. Arnie Apes-Krapin. Dr. Mephisto worked hard towards his thesis. His goal was to genetically duplicate the DNA structure of asparagus so that all asparagus would grow to the same girth and length, giving asparagus a much more pleasant presentation in the structure of asparagus. Apes-Krapin. Dr. Mephisto worked hard towards his thesis. His goal was to genetically duplicate the DNA structure of asparagus so that all asparagus would grow to the same girth and length, giving asparagus a much more pleasant presentation in the world's supermarket vegetable bins. Dr. Apes-Krapin's goal was to genetically create the greatest musical entertainer the world had ever seen. Dr. Apes-Krapin knew that if he could assemble the right elements, he could theoretically build a DNA structure that would ensure his creation have talent far surpassing the average individual. At the time, one subject of urban myth was the story that Michael Jackson, in an effort to retain his youthful look and feminine vocal characteristics, had his testicles surgically removed, thereby making him a modern-day castrato. If such a rumor were true, Michael Jackson more than likely would have had some of his semen preserved before the surgery to ensure the future of his name and lineage. Word came back to Dr. Apes-Krapin of a secret cold storage locker deep within the bowels of the UCLA Research Center that not only contained 4 containers of frozen semen, but also held a pair of testicles. Each was labeled with the name Jack Michelson.
I once heard a noise in the night with the most sensual voice. A song of love from an angelic boy stuck in my head. And this is what he said. I am gopher boy, pondering reality. I am gopher boy, who will buy my raspberries?
This had to be the seed of the king of pop. Dr. Apes-Krapin was able to use his charm and chiseled Greek features to woo a young lab technician by the name of Jennifer, who of course just happened to have the proper access needed to obtain a small vial of the precious semen. The search for the egg was a short one. Dr. Mephisto simply ran an ad in the classified section of an LA music magazine. The ad read, "Wanted, unfertilized human eggs for genetic experiment. Donors must have musical background." With a plethora of young, eager, wannabe musical starlets willing to sell their eggs, the two doctors, after rigorous auditioning, picked and purchased. Dr. Apes-Krapin felt that it would be far less complicated legally if the fetus were brought to term in the womb of a non-human. He had long since secured the services of the university volleyball mascot, a llama by the name of Missy. When the baby was ready, the child was removed via cesarean. It was a healthy baby boy. He was named Kevin.
I once heard a noise in the night, the most sensual voice. A song of love from an angelic boy stuck in my head. And this is what he said. I am gopher boy, pondering reality. I am gopher boy, who will buy my raspberries?
Kevin was a beautiful child. Dr. Apes-Krapin saw to it that Kevin was trained by the best in all aspects of performance. His voice was golden and had a sweetness to it that most males lacked. He moved with grace and was able to moonwalk by the time he was 3. As Kevin grew with his talent, Dr. Apes-Krapin started noticing odd developments in his physical state. When Kevin lost his baby teeth, his secondaries came in with a vengeance. They were at least twice the size of a normal adult's, and the two in front stuck nearly straight out. Also, as Kevin reached his 8th year, he was the same height as he was when he was 4. To top it off, he was growing hair all over, and his penis was enormous, even by adult standards. It also dawned on the doctor that even through all the years of hearing Kevin sing, he rarely spoke, often choosing to communicate with various grunts and gurgles.
I once heard a noise in the night, the most sensual voice. A song of love from an angelic boy stuck in my head. said, I am Gopher Boy, pondering reality. I am Gopher Boy, who will buy my raspberry?
Here we go.
Others were noticing the changes in Kevin. Children began to tease him. They called him Gopher Boy. One day, a bully by the name of Big Roy started throwing bananas at him. Soon, a crowd of kids were all throwing bananas. Suddenly, in a fury, Kevin rushed at Big Roy and bit 3 fingers off on his left hand. Kevin was taken away and placed in the custody of the state. Dr. Apesacrap's actions were found out, but because there was no legislation concerning the genetic construction of another human being, no criminal charges were brought forth. The Medical Association's Board of Ethics stripped him of all his credentials and his reputation was ruined. In fact, his name became so synonymous with failure that for years to come, med students around the world were known to say in times of mishap, damn, I feel just like Apesacrapin. Dr. Mephisto immediately began proceedings to adopt little Kevin. Being a noted scientist and the creator of the cloned asparagus, it wasn't long before the two were legally united as father and son. They moved to Colorado where they live in relative obscurity. Kevin is still a boy of few spoken words, sticking mainly to his grunts and gurgles. But on occasion, if you listen closely, you can hear his sweet golden singing voice ring out into the night over the small town of South Park.
I don't know why, but the first time I heard that end part, I was just like on the floor in tears laughing. I don't know why it was so funny to me.
Park.
Good night, everybody. Take us home, Primus.
Okay, I love that Les Claypool was literally just talking in that song. He wasn't singing or doing anything weird. He was literally, in every sense of the word, just telling a story about 2 characters from South Park. And yeah, now that it popped in my head, it's gonna be in my head for a long, long time. This whole album is Chef Aid. Like, talk about an all-star lineup for an album. God, Wyclef Jean, System of a Down. Who do we got? We got Wyclef, we got Primus, Elton John, Joe Strummer, System of a Down, DMX. I can't remember. I think it's Lil Kim. I don't think it's Missy Elliott. Rancid. Like Isaac Hayes himself, the guy that played Chef. This was like an all-star lineup. Because by the time this came out, the Chef Aid album, South Park took over the world. I remember, I forget what it's called. Is it Beyond the Mat? I think it's the like WWF documentary they did in like the very late 90s. Like literally, I think it was like the end of 99. And what stuck out, because honestly, WWF at the time was everywhere. Like, you would go into Walmart and they were selling the shirts. You go into the mall, the stores were just packed with WWF stuff. That's all everyone talked about. And if you grew up in that time, I'm gonna say 1 out of 3 people watching this is including me, You either got suspended or you got in trouble from your teacher for telling somebody to suck it or do the crotch chop. The WWF took over the world, but I remember from Beyond the Mat, they were having the um I guess it would be the business meeting, how like all the merch and stuff was selling. And the one line is, we're battling it out neck and neck with South Park. Like, if you weren't around in that time, I'm telling you, South Park was everywhere. You could have been a 50-year-old woman or a 12-year-old kid. If you were 12, you were finding a way to watch it. You had the games, you had the shirts, the toys, the stuffies. It was. You couldn't get away from it. And this came out, I believe, second or third season. And yeah, obviously the album came out. It's like, yeah, I need that. I had to get the censored version, but I had it. Oh, okay, I need to hear more from this album now. It's not even on Spotify. I wonder if I have it somewhere. I have a stack of CDs right here, but I know I have more somewhere. I wonder if it's in there. I should go find that. But for now, that's it. That's all. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you again real soon. Later.